west to the island of Arran and Holy Island, and then south down the Kilbrannan Sound to Campbell Town and the Mull of Kintyre. Arran, sometimes described as Scotland in miniature, fertile farmlands to the south and high mountains to the north. Off the east coast is Wighting Bay and the few square miles of Holy Island. For hundreds of years, Holy Island has been regarded as a sacred place of spiritual retreat. The island is now owned by the Sami Ling Buddhist community, who hope to make Holy Island a place of retreat for people of all faiths. Goat Fell and the Arran Alps. Goat Fell's 2,866 feet tower over Brodick Bay. The hill is easily climbed using a well-trodden path which starts in the grounds of Brodick Castle. The Arran Alps have good walking and climbing areas for the more adventurous who want to go deeper into the hills. Maranda Castle at the northern tip of Arran. There is a legend that the castle was used by Robert the Bruce, and it was certainly a hunting lodge of the Stuart kings and was garrisoned by Cromwell's men during the 17th century civil wars. Salmon cages in the Kilbrannan Sound, regarded by some as floating eyesores and by others as an important new industry. A basking shark cruises up the Kilbrannan Sound past the fishing village of Carradale on the east coast of the Kintyre Peninsula. Carradale is a natural harbour, providing shelter for the few boats operating from its small pier. Round the coast, past Carradale Point, is Carradale House, home to the author and writer Naomi Mitchison. A small boat gathers in lobster creels in the calm waters near Campbell Town. The fishing port of Campbell Town in Kintyre. By a quirk of geography, this important Highland town is many miles further south than the English port of Berwick-upon-Tweed. At the turn of the century, Campbelltown could boast 600 fishing boats, a thriving shipyard and a clutch of distilleries. The town boomed during the years of Prohibition in America. Campbelltown whiskey was much favoured by bootleggers and gangsters, but most of the famous distilleries are now closed. The grassy slopes of Island Davar at the mouth of Campbelltown Loch. It is joined to the mainland by a tide-washed causeway known as the Darlin. The island has 7 caves. One well-known cave has a painting of the crucifixion on its walls, and the caves also provide sanctuary for the island's wild goats. West to the sands at Machrihanish and Gia, and then north to Loch Fyne, through the Crinan Canal and on to Inverary. The sands of Machrihanish. Behind these dunes lies one of the most important NATO bases in Scotland. It is guarded by elite American troops, and from this enormously long runway, highly secret American aircraft are reputed to fly in and out. RAF Machrihanish has underground bunkers which hold nuclear depth charges. It also has overground bunkers which are the despair of local golfers. A short ferry journey from Taen Lone on the west coast of Kintyre takes you to God's Island, or Gia as it's better known. 6 miles long and 1.5 miles wide. After years of buying and selling, Gia is now owned by the Holt family, which also owns the yacht marina at Inverkip near Largs. The small fishing port come holiday town of Tarbert, halfway up Loch Fyne. Built at the narrowest point of the Kintyre Peninsula, it was here that the Vikings hauled their longships overland from West Loch Tarbert into Loch Fyne. Ardrishig, the eastern entrance to the Crinan Canal, which stretches from Loch Fyne to Crinan on the Sound of Jura. The canal was started at the end of the 18th century to save coastal shipping the long and often dangerous journey around the Mull of Kintyre. The canal runs for 9 miles through 15 lochs. The project got off to a shaky start until it was taken in hand by the great engineer Thomas Telford and finally opened in 1817. Boats have been sailing happily through ever since. The last of the 15 lochs at the tangle of islands that make up the Inner Hebrides. A journey from Islay in the south, over Mull to Tiree in the west, and north to Rum and Canna. Islay, the most southerly and most fertile of the Inner Hebrides, and with an economy big enough to support a number of thriving towns. Beaumore is the most attractive. Like Inverary, it is a late 18th century new town, carefully laid out and built by the Duke of Argyll. They say that Beaumore's famous round church was built to give the devil no dark corners in which to hide. The ancient art of whisky making is the mainstay of the island's economy. Islay has a population of around 4,000. It's been calculated that it presents annually to the Exchequer the equivalent of over £7,000 per head of population. This is accounted for by the number of distilleries on the island. Islay malt whiskies are known around the world. Great names like Bomor, Bruichladdich, Curlila, Lafroig, Lagavulin and Bunnahaving. But Isla's long coastline is treacherous. Many a ship, like this trawler, has come to grief on the rock-bound shore. This graveyard at Kilchonan on the west side of Isla holds the bodies of American troops from the ship Otranto, which foundered off Isla in October 1918. The north end of the island, a beautiful and intricate system of beaches, sand dunes and coarse grass that stretches for miles. Port Askig, the little harbour and ferry terminal on the east side of Isla. From here, ferries ply to and from the mainland and across the sound to Fjolin on Jura, a very different kind of island. These are the Paps of Jura. They are not high by mainland standards, only 2,500 feet, but they dominate the south end of the island. The uninhabited and little visited western coast of Jura. There is no road or track on this side of the island, only miles of raised shingle beach and dozens of caves, shelter for Jura's population of wild goats. This modest bothy is the only sign of human habitation on the west coast of Jura. Round the top of the island to the Gulf of Corryvreckan, the legendary stretch of water between the north end of Jura and the island of Scarba. The tidal run can reach speeds of 10 knots, and when it collides with the sea, driven by a westerly wind, the boiling sound can be heard for 20 miles. It is an intrepid yachtsman who braves the eddies and whirlpools of Corryvreckan, even on a calm day. Barnhill Farm at the north end of Jura. It was here that George Orwell wrote 1984. The Skerville Light in the Sound of Jura. It is one of Scotland's many remote lighthouses which have been automated in recent years. Lighthouses like this were home to 3 men for weeks at a time. Now, the only denizens of the rock are seabirds and grey seals.